Floating cities, forests that breathe, thousands of birds and fish suddenly die, and a man who was struck by lightning 7 times and survived. All this coming up in 7 mysterious events that will make you question reality.
Brilliant news!
Number 1. Breathing forest. Okay, so this one isn't really a mystery, but it certainly looks mysterious. The footage is from 2018 in Sacre-Coeur, Quebec. It shows the earth rhythmically rising and falling as if it were breathing. This phenomenon actually happens all over the world when a combination of moderate to high winds and a saturated forest floor coincide. The wind tips and lifts the trees, and because the ground is saturated, it moves with the tree roots. Even though this effect is incredibly mesmerizing, if you see it, you should leave straight away because the probability that a tree will fall is fairly high. Number 2. Space roar. Light is made from tiny particles called photons. A photon with a high amount of energy has a short wavelength. Energetic photons like those coming from an exploding star become gamma rays. As the photons travel, they lose energy, their wavelength gets longer and they become X-rays. As they lose even more energy, they become ultraviolet light, then visible light, then infrared light, and then radio waves. In 2006, NASA sent some very complex equipment into space with a balloon to capture radio waves from distant stars, thus enabling us to see further into the universe. However, even though scientists calculated that a certain amount of radio wave activity or noise would come from our own galaxy and others around us, what they picked up was 6 times more than they expected. Rather than background noise, it was a roar. Now, 15 years later, scientists are still puzzled. Where does this activity come from? Are there 6 times more galaxies closer to us than we know of? Is there some massive activity within our own galaxy that we cannot see? And if so, what is it? Number 3. Sky Metropolis. In October 2015 in China, inhabitants of the city of Foshan looked up and saw what looked like a metropolis in the sky. This floating metropolis appeared in the city of Yueyang in 2017, Portsmouth, England in 2020, and in Barcelona, Spain in 2021. This floating metropolis has been seen various times in multiple countries and puzzles anyone who sees it. Scientists think it may be a mirage called Fata Morgana. This effect happens when 2 drastically different air temperatures cause light to refract and bend to a greater degree than the curvature of the Earth. This can cause boats to appear as if they're floating in the air. To all the flat earthers out there, it was done by magic. But this effect mainly happens in very cold or very warm places, and so it is unclear why it happened in Spain. It is also unclear just what object was being refracted, and in the case of the Chinese floating city, how the effect was happening with clouds being present. If you're enjoying this video, please give us a like. Hooray! Number 4. Arkansas, USA. Shortly before midnight on New Year's Eve in 2011, in the town of Beebe, approximately 5,000 red-winged blackbirds fell out of the sky. Earlier that week, 83,000 drumfish washed up dead on the banks of the Arkansas River. People immediately thought the 2 events were connected and that some virus or toxin had been unleashed. However, tests conducted on the dead animals showed that neither the birds nor the fish had been poisoned and that the birds had all died from a blunt force trauma. What caused the fish to die? Why were these daytime birds flying at night? What did they fly into? Why did so many do it at exactly the same time? And why did another 200 birds fall from the sky exactly a year later in the same town? All these questions are still mysteries. Number 5. Humpback whales. Humpback whales are creatures of habit, migrating regularly, mainly solitary, and only getting together during mating season. But now, for some reason, they seem to be changing their behavior. For several years in a row, supergroups of humpbacks have been appearing to feed off the coast of South Africa. This breaks with traditional feeding locations, migration patterns, and group sizes. 10 humpbacks together used to be considered a large group before, but some of these groups had up to 100 whales. The whales have also changed the songs they use to communicate with each other. All these changes have scientists baffled. Some think it has to do with climate change and the oceans getting warmer. Some think that overfishing has caused krill, the humpback's main food source, to fall. And others think that the old solitary habits of the humpback may have been due to its low population count, and that now its population is increasing, its habits are changing. Whatever the reason may be, the good news is that when whale hunting was banned in the 70s, it was estimated that only around 10,000 humpback whales remained. Today that number is over 100,000. Number 6. Strike it lucky. The possibility of being struck by lightning is approximately 1 in 500,000. The possibility of being struck twice, 1 in 9 million. Between 1942 and 1977, Roy Sullivan got struck by lightning on 7 separate occasions and survived them all. His wife also got hit when he was helping her bring in the washing before a storm. People are baffled as to why Roy was struck so many times. Some thought that maybe certain minerals in his body or a magnetic field made him more of a target. Others thought that God may be punishing him, to which Roy said, "If it was God's doing, he would have got me with the first one." Whatever the reason for it, Roy found that people feared being around him, especially when a storm was brewing, and he also feared being struck by lightning again. It seems that these fears may have been what led him to take his own life in 1983, age 71. Number 7. The 7 Trumpets of the Apocalypse. During lockdown in 2020, multiple cases of strange sounds emanating from the sky were reported. Argentina, Brazil, Slovakia, Italy, Mexico, and the US all reported sounds like shrieking whistles, trumpets, and deep vibrations. There is no official explanation for these noises. Some say they are made by airplanes, but there were few airplanes flying during the lockdown. Some think it's wind or distant thunder that would normally be masked by the noise of human activity. Others believe they were celestial trumpets heralding the apocalypse. Whatever these mysterious sounds are, if you start to see oceans boil and stars fall from the sky, you should probably get down on your knees and pray. Which mysterious event freaks you out the most? Comment below and please subscribe for more.